This episode includes discussion of sexual trauma and domestic abuse. Please take care as you listen and feel free to skip this episode if you're not in the right headspace today. Your well-being always comes first. Hello and welcome back to The Sober Connection with me, your host, Abi King. I'm joined today for a guest episode with a lady who actually decided to give up drinking at the age of 19. It seems to be a bit of a running theme. The last guest gave up at the age of 20. So a bit of a theme going on at the moment. But I thought that it would be a really interesting conversation. There's completely different reasons to why she gave up drinking compared to the guest that I had on a couple of weeks ago. Aside from that, she's also spent a few years as a New Zealand police officer. And I really wanted to kind of discuss the social impact that she's seen with alcohol and how that affects society, the negative downsides that we see when it's put on such a high pedestal. So my guest today is the lovely Danielle Naborisi. Hey, Danny, how are you?
Thank you. Thanks for having
Thank
me
you so
on.
much for joining me. So I wanted to obviously, first of all, discuss your decision to quit drinking at the age of 19. Obviously, that's quite a young age and a lot of peer pressure at that age to drink and to like the social norms would be to get drunk. What was, when you look back now, what do you think gave you the clarity to make that decision at that young age?
Give me the clarity. To start off with, drinking was never like, I didn't like the taste of alcohol. And I kind of drank just because everyone else was. So I drank, I went out on the weekends, I did my thing. I tried to find a certain alcohol that I liked. I remember trying my dad's beer at home and almost gagging. I tried mum's wine and I didn't like the taste of that. And just tried to find something that I liked. I ended up drinking, I don't know if you remember, but these pre-mixes called vodka milkshakes. And so I would drink those, but after a couple of them, I felt like it was just curdling in my stomach. And yeah, so just things like that. I remember for my school graduation, I invited some friends around to mum and dad's pool, like obviously where I lived at home, and we decided to have this pool party, and I got absolutely obliterated drunk drinking a pint of straight vodka. And I remember falling over. Well, I don't actually remember, but I fell over in the shower. All my girlfriends ended up getting me ready. And I remember my dad distinctly saying to me, "You're not going like this. Like, you're not going to graduation like this." And I remember being like, "I'm going, Dad. I'm going. I'm going to go." And that was the most intoxicated I'd ever been in my life. But yeah, just the out of control feeling, and the fact that I didn't actually like the taste of it. Don't get me wrong, like I dabbled in a few bits and pieces to try and have a good time with friends growing up. But I think I just got to the point where it was like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? Like, I can have a fun time without drinking.
Yeah.
Like, I've always been a pretty sociable person. I can walk into a room and try and start a conversation with someone. Like, it wasn't that I needed the alcohol to let me have fun. And I was just like, why am I doing this when I can actually just have fun on my own?
Yeah.
There was just bits and pieces that were happening on those nights out that I was just like, I don't even want to be around this scene anymore. Yeah. The peer pressure was huge though. Like, I've got to say, like, I knew no one else that didn't drink. Like, everyone drank. Yeah. And it would ruin nights out from people peer pressuring me to drink.
Yeah. So you're drinking. So obviously you made the decision at the age of 19. When did it start? Like, so when did you first have your first drink? Was it a lot younger than that, or?
I remember, I'm not going to dob my friend in, but I remember my friend buying me a small bottle, those like, I don't know, those small bottles of straight vodka.
Yeah.
I remember buying that, on a corner street in New Plymouth. And and I remember not being of age because I couldn't buy it myself. There was house parties. House parties were like a big thing. And and the ones that I could, my mum would always say to me, no, you're not going to a house party and you're not doing this and you're not doing that. And, bits and pieces would happen, which I now understand being older, the reasons why she didn't let me do that.
Yeah.
But I did go to some house parties, and I do remember drinking and, having some vodka mud shakes. And yeah, I was a bit of a lightweight though, like not a lot would kind of set me off and I'd have a good night, but it just wasn't around the taste of alcohol that I liked.
Yeah,
that's the
right.
reason why I stopped. Yeah, so it was definitely before I was 18. I would have been maybe 17. I wouldn't have said I was 16, probably
Yeah.
17. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it wasn't a long, I finished school and I moved down to Wellington and I did some study in Wellington for the year. And then pretty much after that, I got my job with Air New Zealand and moved to Auckland. And yeah, just never really. I continued to go out and have a good time, but drinking wasn't a part of.
Yeah.
Wasn't a part of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you worked for Air New Zealand for a little while. So yeah, as a
Yeah.
flight attendant?
Yeah, so I was domestic, so worked around New Zealand, based out of Auckland for 5 years, and
Yeah.
then I went international for 5 years. And so many people would say to me, because I'm a very odd individual. I don't drink tea, coffee, I don't drink juices, I don't drink alcohol. Like, I literally drink hot chocolate, water, and chocolate milkshakes. Like, people know that I drink chocolate milkshakes. And
Just not with vodka in them.
so a lot of people throughout, my flying days would be like, oh, when you go on overnights, like in these extravagant places, when I got international, you'll start drinking, like you'll want to drink with everyone else, or you'll drink coffee because, you're up all night. And I just didn't. And
Yeah.
it wasn't a part of my life. And
Yeah.
and it was fine. And I didn't need to do that to please people. Like, yeah, it felt quite easy to give it up, if that makes sense. It's
Yeah.
like eating something that you don't like eating. You're just
Yeah.
not going to eat it, right?
You just don't do it. Yeah.
I felt the same with alcohol. It was
Yeah.
just like, I don't like the taste of it. Why am I doing this?
Yeah, yeah, right. So a lot of what I found, and certainly what was the case for me, was I wasn't necessarily drinking because I liked the taste. I was drinking to avoid things that were going on in my life, or that I was trying to forget that had happened in the past and things like that. So yeah, I think a lot of people realize when they actually put down the bottle that it was kind of like masking things that they didn't want to think about or deal with, as opposed to just not drinking because of the taste. So yeah, how do you find that that's kind of gone for you?
Yeah, I can certainly relate to that. To give a little bit of context to your listeners, because obviously they would have no idea. I was born overseas. I was born in a small island called Jersey. My dad was born there. My mum's Kiwi. She was born in Stratford. And they met over there. And my sister and I were born. I've got an older sister who's a couple of years older than me. And we moved, after my granddad got really sick, we moved back to New Zealand, like immigrated here, when I was 7. And a few weeks after we'd moved here, I was, sorry. Sorry.
That's okay. Just, yeah, you don't have to say anything if you don't need to.
Yeah, so a few weeks after we'd moved to New Zealand, we stayed with my nana and granddad for a little bit, and then we moved into the area where my parents still live, and I was molested by a next door neighbour. Sorry, just getting myself together.
No, that's okay, Danny. It's fine.
Yeah, I was molested by a next door neighbour who was the same age as my granddad. And yeah, so that was a lot that all had happened, in a very short time of this new new, home that we had and stuff like that, which kind of affected that. So
Yeah.
um, I knew that it was wrong. I went home, I told my parents about it. And I won't go too much into detail about that. But anyway, I subsequently went through the court system, and it's I believe that I'm a lot stronger for what's happened, but you don't forget it. I mean, you've been through trauma yourself,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's a lot to deal with, and certain things in your life trigger
Yeah, absolutely.
things that you've gone through, and that's certainly what's happened for me. Um, I don't bear any ill, feelings about what the choices in which my parents made to stay in the street. But we've continued to live next door to him, and I continued to see him for 10 years after that had happened.
Wow.
And there was a lot of just torment that would happen every day. They talk about the breath of terror. I heard that when I went through to police college, and they'd talk about feeling like someone's breathing down your neck, like, and you
Yeah.
feel that when you see that person. I don't know if you can relate to that, but it's I felt that every time I would see him
Yeah,
every day.
absolutely. Absolutely.
And
I moved to the other side of the world from my tormentor, so
yeah,
I got away from it. But that's incredible
yeah.
that you would still see him.
So
Yeah.
I was such like, there was like a lot of kids that lived on our street, and we were all outdoorsy kids. Like, I mean, dial up was, like being on the internet was like, we just didn't really do it. I
Yeah.
maybe got 10 minutes to play The Sims or something like that. But, and then as soon as a phone call would come in, you'd have to get off the line. And, like,
Yeah.
it was just, I didn't have a cell phone. Like, we played outside. We came home when the street lights came on.
Yeah.
We played non-stop cricket, and we played bull rush, and like, like we lived outside. So I saw him coming and leaving and going to work and coming home from work. And it was just a lot.
Yeah.
And that's affected bits and pieces in regards to feeling in control of my body, and the choices that I make, and obviously my career choices and bits and pieces like that. But
Yeah.
um, but I've got to say, because it is going to help me explain things later on. But I mean, you can imagine he was bigger than me, stronger than me. I was a young child. I was 7, and I was held down by him, and I couldn't move, and I felt trapped. I felt trapped. Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Thank you for sharing that,
Sorry. Yeah.
Danny. No, that's so brave of you to share it. And yeah, yeah, it does trigger. It does trigger the. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been through my own things differently. I was 17, and had a domestic violence, very violent, physically and sexually, but psychologically as well. Like the whole shebang was just, it was horrendous. And yeah, for me, instead of getting therapy when I finally escaped just before my 21st birthday, I couldn't afford therapy, so I just relied on drink and drugs, because that had been my coping mechanism throughout the 4 years of being with this guy. That's basically how I lived my life for the next 20 plus years. So it's amazing that you then made that decision. I know we talked off camera before that you sort of noticed that it was affecting your behavior from when you'd get triggered when you were drinking. So that another reason why you stopped drinking, because you didn't like that behavior that was presenting itself in you, or is that kind of right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when I think about, going out in the house parties and bits and pieces, and um, if I would drink, I was like, I felt anxious about how was I going to get home? Like, how am I going to get home, because I can't do it myself. I can't
Yeah.
get home myself. I can't drive myself home.
Yeah.
Um,
So
I
that
got
lack
my
of
license.
control.
I got my license the day of my birthday. I turned 15. When I was 15 and a half on the dot, I got my restricted license. And from then I've, I've had my license. I mean, I'm almost 34. So I've been driving a long time, and
Yeah.
I like the fact that I can get myself home, and I can hand on heart say there's not been a night when I haven't got all my friends home safe.
Yeah.
And that's important to me. But it was also, you know, play fighting, house parties, play fighting, holding me down. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I felt trapped. It gave me those same feelings.
Yeah.
Just all sorts of stuff. The remarks, and like I remember when I would drink. I remember distinctly when I was still in New Plymouth. I would have been. I was 18 because I was out in town, but I remember being on the main street with one of my other friends, Lauren, and I remember a guy making a sexual remark at us, and I remember just going into protective mode, and I ended up grabbing him by his shirt and I slammed him up against a glass window, one of the shop windows, and I ended up getting arrested, and I ended up in the cell, and I got let off after I explained what happened. But just things like that, I was just like, clearly, just something would switch in me and it made me go into protective mode, or it would, I don't know, just things that were happening. Being hugged too long, held too long, it would like stop, just I was just getting myself into situations where I didn't feel in control. And then it was just when I made the choice to not drink, then it was like, oh, just have a drink. Just have a drink. Just have one. Why won't you just have one? Oh, why aren't you, like, you're not even going to have a good night if you don't have a drink. Just have one. Come on, just have one. And I'd be like, oh, I'm fine. Like, I'm all good. Like, I'm having a really good time. Like, I actually don't need to drink. Like, trying not to like over explain what's going on. But I was just like, I didn't obviously need to tell them everything and the reasons why I didn't drink, but I was just like, oh, I'm totally fine. Like, I'm having a really good night. Like, I hope you are too. Just like, I just don't want to drink. And it would go on and on. Just have one. Come on, come on, come on, come on, do the, and I'd get to the point where I'd be like, I'm over it. I'm going home. Like, I'm done. Leave me alone. I'm going home now. And the peer pressure was like I said to you before, I knew no one that didn't drink. Like, everyone drank. And so it was kind of like just trying to path the way for myself. And it wasn't like I needed help. I didn't need a group to accept me for me not drinking. It was just the fact that I just needed everyone to leave me alone. I just made choices for myself. And if I'm having a good time and I'm not bothering you, then like I have no problem with you drinking. Like, I can be around people that drink to a certain extent. And I'm fine. And I'm all good. I'm having a good time, and I will still happily go out. I mean, I don't, because I'm a mum now and my life's changed, but yeah, I would happily go out to a social event and be sober, and I'm totally fine. My husband drinks, all my friends drink, my family drink, and it's okay.
I think back, you're talking like 15 years ago when you stopped drinking like that. I mean, I know even for me, 8 years ago when I started trying to quit, it was, you were such the weirdo for not drinking. Like, it was so weird. Like, now I think it's a lot more acceptable, but yeah, you're right. Like, a few years ago and back, certainly like at your age, at 19, just those constant questions. And I mean, my last episode was how to explain your sobriety without over explaining it. And most people now will just be like, oh, okay, and just kind of carry on with their night. But back then, when you're just constantly getting bombarded with, why not? Why aren't you drinking? It does get quite painful after a while, right?
It was relentless.
And it's hard not to get kind of sort of not aggressive, but just like argumentative about it. Just leave me alone. Like, you do you. I'm doing my thing and you do you. But it's it's a lot easier now. But I mean, I take my hat off to you for doing that 15 years ago. I mean, that would have been so hard. Yeah.
I didn't feel like the giving up of the alcohol was hard. It was just everyone else, which just makes me think, it baffles me now that people just couldn't it's that whole just, if someone says no, then no is no.
Yeah.
And that's okay, but
Yeah,
I do
right.
feel like it's a lot more accepted now. Yeah, it definitely wasn't. It definitely wasn't then, for sure. Yeah. So,
Um, when you look at your healing journey now, what do you wish more people knew or understood about trauma, and how it intersects with alcohol use? Obviously, we were talking before, very, very much was like my coping mechanism, but not so much for you. So, what do you think? Yeah, what do you wish people understood about it?
I just think, and no one's trauma is the same, right? So it's, um, I wish that people understood. I just think that people need to deal with things in their own way and to just be patient with people and to just give more understanding and just be a listening ear if they want you to be that.
Hmm.
But but I do think that the way the world is working, people are becoming more accepting of people that don't drink.
Yeah,
But yeah, but like I said, like I can't speak for everyone that has trauma because you have too, and you have dealt with it completely different.
completely differently. Yeah,
And
yeah.
I commend you for your sobriety and doing this podcast. And I believe that this is such a awesome way to shed light on different experiences, and that's what it's all about. It's
Mm,
yeah, like no one's trauma is the same, and
yeah.
yeah, I don't think I can really speak much more on it. Like it's just like everyone deals with things differently, and yeah, just having a bit of compassion and understanding for people just going through their own. I mean, there's so many people that I know in my life that don't know that part of my story, you
Yeah,
know?
right. Yeah.
But and it's not something that I scream from the rooftops, but it's also something that I'm not scared to talk about
Yeah.
because it is a part of the journey, and I believe that I've grown a lot from it. And I
Yeah.
know that you have too, you've
Yeah, yeah,
made
absolutely.
massive
Absolutely.
growth, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
it's
I
not,
think
yeah, it's not linear. Like it is, there's things that come up, and I'm sure things will trigger for you. And then I would assume through your sobriety, you've been able to manage and have a more clear like mind on it, and can make better decisions and choices for your life. And yeah, I just feel that I can sit with my feelings better, and I can process things better, and I realize when I'm feeling, off,
yeah.
where I didn't want to mask it. I want to be clear about what it is, and I want to, yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, there's a lot of talk at the, like these days about how, you never know what the person next to you has been through, and
Yeah.
that it's just so true. Like it's, you can be, I don't know, like different people react in different ways to the same thing, and it's because they've been having a shit day, or like somebody they know's just passed away, or and how they react to that is very different depending on how their coping mechanisms are established, I guess. So yeah, but it's hard. I mean, it's hard. um Yes, it's definitely hard dealing with trauma, but I think doing it from a place of sobriety. I know for me, like it was definitely a coping mechanism, and then that became how I dealt with all things in life, whether it was celebrating or commiserating or good days, shit days, whatever it was. I would just like, oh, I'll just have a drink. I'll have a drink, and just numb the pain away. But I still feel like I kind of dealt with things, like dealt with that experience, those 4 years with that guy. I definitely think that I sort of dealt with it. I just kind of let it go because it's something that has shaped me, and I always think that, well, if that hadn't have happened, then I wouldn't be sitting here right now doing this podcast with you. Like everything kind of happens for a reason, but obviously I kind of wish that it hadn't have happened, but you can't change it, so you might as well just kind of process it and let it go and just move on.
Much
but
as
um
possible, yeah.
but yeah, definitely the sort of the drinking was my way of coping with it. It's really cool that you chose not to go down that path. So
I think all, like a lot of it's to do with, who's close in your circle. Like my parents were like fiercely protective, and, I was believed, and my sister was a good support for me, and like that kind of thing. And so I
yeah.
believe that my life, could have turned very different if my parents didn't believe in me and like I had that support. Like
Yeah.
I went through counseling as a child and, like bits and pieces like that. And
Yeah.
like I still remember her name, Janet, and she sewed me a blanket and I've still got that and, just like things like that. And you just never forget those important things. And
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but whether you had a really good like support network around you when that all happened. So,
Nah, well,
you know what I
in
mean?
those kind of situations, you're kind of just alienated from everybody that you know anyway. So it was just me and him by the end of it. And
Totally.
yeah, I do remember like one. There was a guy called Mark who was actually an Aussie, and he lived. This was back when I was in the UK, and he was always hanging around, like always around at the house to the point where I'd be like, oh my God, like Mark's here again, blah, 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 and I'd get sort of like pissed off that he was always at the house. And then a few months after, well, we ended up moving to London, and then about a year later, I managed to get the courage to leave, and I escaped, and that was that. And so I was dealing with all of that, and I went back to my family, the town where I grew up, and I met up with Mark for a beer, and he said to me, "You know why I was always around? You know why I was always at your house?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Because I was trying to protect you." And I just like, oh, gives me goosebumps now just thinking about it, because it just used to, it pissed me off that he was at the house all the time, because nobody knew. Like, even though I would have had black eyes and all sorts, like I got stabbed and all sorts, like it was horrendous, but no, we never talked about it. It was just always brushed under the carpet, and I always wore sunglasses or whatever just to hide it. But the fact that he knew, and he was protecting me by being around at the house all the time. And I've never forgotten that. It just, yeah, just that was, I without realizing it, I guess that was my support crew. Yeah, but
Well, I mean, I suppose him being around at the house would prevent things from happening,
exactly, nothing would have
especially
happened
while he
if he
was
was around
there.
the house. Yeah, exactly, because it
Wow.
all happened behind closed doors. So yeah,
I'm so
but yeah,
sorry that you went
pretty
through that.
pretty incredible that he was chose to be kind of my guardian angel, and he, I
Yeah.
mean, he would have definitely stopped things happening a few times, I would have thought. Yeah, because he would randomly fall asleep on the couch and then not go home, and then he'd be there in the morning, and so that was, usually anything that would happen would be at nighttime. So yeah, yeah, but that was pretty special to find that out. And I've lost touch with him. I don't know where he is or who, which is sad. But yeah, I should have probably stayed in touch. But life happens, eh?
But,
Yeah,
he was there for a reason at
yeah,
that time and how
yeah,
special that is.
yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
really sorry that you went through that. That's horrific. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was. I mean, yeah, it's fine. Like it's turned me into a very resilient, strong person. And I'm
Mm.
certainly, with three teenage daughters, I've always said, their boy, any guy that they bring home is going to be
Thrilled.
watched very, very carefully. So yeah, but yeah, no, I mean it is shit, but it's like we said before, it turns you into the person that you are today, right? And it all happens for a reason. So yeah, so moving on, we'll move on to the other half of the conversation that I wanted to have with you. So obviously, you did your flight attendant work, and then you ended up working for the New Zealand Police. So I wanted to have a conversation with you about what you've seen, and obviously I understand. Now, obviously, for the listeners to understand, Danny now lives over in Western Australia, but she was living in New Zealand. How long have you been over there? A year or so?
We've been here 9 months. So,
9 months.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
9 months. Yeah, about nine
yeah.
months. Yeah.
So Danny was in the New Zealand Police over here, and I just wanted to talk to you about what you've seen and what you can share. Obviously, like, I feel free just to not talk too much if you can't, but the social impact that you've seen that alcohol has played. Obviously, we sort of see the statistics in the news, and any sort of violent offending and things like that. Alcohol is always sort of mentioned. It's always kind of involved in some way. So what have you seen in that respect?
Um, Honestly, I feel like it's involved in like all aspects of policing, honestly. Like, yeah, like I've been obviously on the beat, and you go around to town and you obviously deal with a lot of people that are intoxicated, and they don't like you. They don't like what you're doing. And yeah, and it just makes me think, like, yeah, you must be doing something wrong to not like us, because the whole reason why we're there is to make sure that you're safe,
To keep you
and
safe.
yeah, and to make sure that everyone's having a good time. Like, if
Yeah.
you're having a good time and you're doing your thing and not doing anything illegal, then you've got nothing to worry about. Yeah. And so it's yeah, but I mean, the jobs, like, yeah, some of the jobs that I've gone through, it's a lot. And I'm glad that I don't drink to have clarity to process some of the things that I've seen. I mean, I haven't been in the police for a crazy amount of time. And we made the decision to come over here to give it a crack because my husband's work was drying up back home. And I'm currently still employed by the police. I'm actually on leave without pay, to give it a crack over here to see whether it's something that we do want. And I'm grateful for that. So, yeah, I mean, obviously I can't dive into huge things and for, like security and safety of people. But I mean, there's been, like, I'm not going to lie, I've seen family harm events. I've seen suicides. You literally, you see it all, and alcohol is always that, or drugs is a huge contender of it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
right.
really sad because essentially people just get so obliterated that they're not thinking clearly, and they make irrational decisions. And yeah, I mean, family harm's just such a huge problem everywhere. And and I mean, you've dealt with things yourself, and it's just it's horrible. And it's not even it's not even affecting those two people. There's children in the house. Like, some of the things that I've seen children witness is, it's honestly, it's so hard to think about. Now I have my own child. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
just think what kind of impact it's going to have on them. And I know that you've dealt with your own things in regards to, your daughter telling you about, that your voice was scary, when she was young. And it's really hard. But I see young children that can't even toilet themselves, and they're witnessing their parents just, yeah.
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 Yeah, it's sad, eh?
Yeah. And there's multitudes of jobs. There was 3 jobs when I was very new into the police, and they were compounding, and they were huge front page of the newspaper jobs. And I had to, like, learn how to, like, process that, because some of the things that I've seen, people don't see in their whole life.
Yeah.
And so it's just,
And so with that, like, how, I mean, obviously, I mean, how do you process things like that? If you're, again, it comes back to that coping mechanism. Where I was before here, had quite a bit to do with the volunteer fire brigade, and they were first responders to a lot of things because it was a small town, so whoever could get to car crashes or whatever first. And they would have their debrief afterwards, which would usually involve them drinking until like 5 or 6 in the morning, and that was their way of coping with it. And then they'd go home, and then because it was volunteer, so then they'd go to their regular jobs the next day. And, like, obviously that's not a healthy way of dealing with those things that you're seeing. So how do you feel that it's changed for you? Obviously not drinking. How do you cope with things like that and process it?
I'm not going to lie. Like, there's definitely, like, we'd go upstairs and have a debrief, and, alcohol was never on the table for me. And I'd go up there and just drink my water, and I'm happy to join in the chat. And I think that's healthy to talk about things, and to talk about your learnings. And there was always support networks. Like, to talk to someone. We have a really good system in that regard, and I believe that's hugely beneficial. But for me, with those, especially those 3 jobs, when I was really new into it, obviously I had the option to talk to someone, but I was also like, I need to figure out how to just manage just the things that I was, I was seeing faces, I was thinking about names, I was thinking about families, and I think that's just down to maybe who I am. I'm a pretty sentimental person. I definitely appreciate those really close to me, and anyone that's like really family orientated is going to be affected by some of the things. I mean,
Yeah.
you're a human after all. You're
Yeah,
not,
absolutely.
no one's perfect. Everyone deals with things differently. And so I was, I was upset, like there was nights when I'd be really upset and I'd just need to like have a good cry. But for me, like I was like, right, I need to deal with this. I need to, I don't want to become numb to things that I see, but I
Yeah.
needed to like figure out a way of like how to just, deal with these things, these compiling things.
Yeah.
And so I'd go down to the water. I'd go down to the lake. I'd sit on the rocks and I'd watch the water, and I'd watch the water come in and wash it and wash it. And then I was like, right, I'm going to go. And I used to draw names in the sand. I'd draw off things that I was feeling, draw them in the sand, and then I'd sit on the rocks and I'd have my sunglasses on. I'd be bawling my eyes out, and I'd just watch the water come in and just wash the names away.
Yeah.
And that was a really therapeutic way. And
Yeah. Wow.
probably none of my friends even know about this, but and it was just my way of dealing with things. And
Yeah.
I haven't felt overwhelmed like that again, while going to many other jobs that I have,
Yeah.
over the years that I was in, but
That's actually a really that's a
yeah,
really beautiful way of doing that, because it's
yeah,
kind of it's literally drawing a line in the sand, isn't it? It's kind of
yeah,
like, yeah, you kind of watch the sea coming in and washing
yeah.
the words away again. That's, yeah.
I
I guess
love,
it would be different
yeah,
for for you not drinking.
mm,
Yeah, that like we said before, like the natural reaction for most first responders and things is to just have a drink and just numb it and get through it that way. But that's yeah, obviously you would have to find your own way of
yeah. It
sitting
just,
there with your water isn't gonna do it, right?
no,
Like you actually do need to find an actual proper way
yeah.
of getting through it. So yeah.
I found that, those first few times I'd need to write something in the sand, and then soon enough I'd just drive down there and I'd
Yeah.
just watch the water, and then soon enough I felt like I didn't need to do that anymore. But it
Yeah.
was, sometimes after a tough day, you drive out of work and, the world's still spinning, everyone's living their life, things are still happening. I'd go home and my family's still there. My husband's just had a tough day at work, and,
Yeah.
but yeah, but some
His
of the
tough
things
day
you
is
see,
quite
it's like,
different to your tough
yeah,
day though,
like it's
right?
just, yeah. And then
Yeah.
feeling like you can't really have a really good debrief, because then you've got security kind of, like you've got to be careful about what you say, and,
Yeah.
but I mean, I could say, like I went to this today and it was really hard, but obviously no names and no, information like that, because
Mm.
it's, like it's confidential. So
Yeah.
it's a hard trying to just wade through it, but debriefing, but not too, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the
right.
beach was, has always been like I love the water. I love the beach. I love everything about that.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful to still have that here.
Yeah, amazing.
um, but yeah, I just found that was a good way for me to process
To
things, and
process.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. That's
so,
really cool. That's
but yeah.
cool. Um, is there anything that you wish, like obviously, we just talked about sort of, family harm and things that alcohol plays a part in. Is there anything that you wish that more people understood about how deeply it actually affects families and communities? Behind, like kind of beyond what we see in the headlines, it's just, we only see what we're allowed to see. Is there anything that you wish that people understood a little bit more?
I wish people knew that this, you know, I think a lot of people think, oh, these small towns, like there's hardly much police presence, or, like there's not much happening, and, and you only see what you see. But honestly, like it's just, yeah, it's all I can say is there's a lot more happening than what meets the eye or what
Yeah.
the public see. And it's,
Or what even gets reported
yeah.
even.
Well, it's
Yeah.
scary, like I think about it and it scares me for like my child growing up, and he's only one, like
Yeah.
he's almost two, but like, do you know what I mean? And I think about, you know, the way the world's going, and just
Yeah.
there's a lot happening, and it's rife everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have any experience here policing because I don't work. I'm not working. I'm a full-time mummy.
Yeah.
But I mean, you hear the sirens, you see ambulances, there's stuff happening. There's, yeah, just those things that back in the day, I mean, you'd hear about maybe a homicide, maybe once a year, once every couple of years. It was a very uncommon thing. Now they're happening left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
Knife violence is huge.
Yeah.
People carrying guns, like things happening in the malls. I mean, and that's everywhere, and
Yeah.
it's scary. When I
Yeah.
walk into the mall with my pushchair with my little baby, like I think about what I see on the news, and it's scary to think
Yeah.
that things are so out of hand.
Yeah.
But there's so much contributing to that as well, like, mental health and the facilities that are available to those people. And
Yeah.
I think there's a lot happening, and I don't think the resources is anywhere near as much as it
What they
needs to
need to be.
be. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's
Absolutely.
so I think it's just compounding stuff, and mental health with alcohol and everything else that's happening in the world. And I mean, things are a lot more complicated, stresses with money, and it just everything is I think it's just a knock-on effect. And
Yeah.
yeah, and alcohol might just be one thing, but there might be lots of other things happening under the surface
Yeah.
that alcohol
Yeah.
just tips you over the edge. Like it could.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
it scares me about where things are going, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. Like, I wish that I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, earlier on this year, there was the case in New Plymouth where the guy died at the rugby club from a coward punch. Just a horrendous situation. But I just always think back, and I'm not condoning it at all, anything like this, that sort of violent crime. But I always think what led to the perpetrator, the default being violence when they're drinking, and that happens for a lot of people. Like, what have they gone through in their life to make them react in such a violent way? And cause all the, because that's so many lives ruined just from alcohol being a massive factor in that. It's just really sad all around. Like, I don't know what the answer is but that default that somebody chooses violence as opposed to being a happy drunk, or or a sleepy drunk, or whatever, actually, that violence being the thing that they turn to. It's awful.
Well, and like that's had a huge impact on like the community, and like I've got to admit, I've got extremely close friends that knew him.
Yeah.
I know his mum, and I think it's just so devastating. Like, I really do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of your listeners will know him, like in New Plymouth. Yeah.
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 Yeah, no, it's awful. If you could go back and speak to your 19-year-old self on the day that she quit drinking, what would you say to her now?
You don't need this. Sorry, made me emotional talking about Daniel.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. You don't need alcohol to make you have a good time. You can do it all on your own. Yeah. I think I'm a more clear, level-headed, calmer person, calmer mummy. I mean, I never parented him with alcohol, but
Mhm.
I believe that I'm the best mum I can be for him. And yeah, you're not going to regret this.
Yeah.
It's going to be good for your life. And you
Yeah.
save money.
Yeah. And ignore the haters.
Yeah. And it's going to get easier. Not everyone's going to question your decision to not drink. It's going to
Yeah.
get easier.
Peer
Yeah.
pressure is overrated.
Yeah. Totally.
What surprised you most about living most of your life alcohol free?
What surprised me? What surprised me is how people are surprised of how I've done it. Like I'm just like people think, "Oh my gosh, you're amazing for not drinking." But I just um
It's funny, eh?
it's yeah, like it's just it's interesting, but I found it really easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um my husband can't tell me that I can't buy another tin of Nesquik for my milkshakes. Um, and I just spend my money elsewhere, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, just how surprised people are that I don't drink, or when they say, "Oh, like why don't you drink?" or is it a religious reason, or is it this, or is it that? And it's just I just say, "Oh, it's just personal choice. I don't like the taste of it," um and yeah, it's just as simple as that. Like, and
Yeah.
people are like, "Oh, that's cool," like, and they just get on with it now.
Yeah.
Or people just don't even ask. People just leave me alone. But
Yeah.
yeah, it probably surprises me just how surprised other people are.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do believe it's more common, and health and fitness has always been like quite a big part of my life. And yeah, and I just find I've always loved like hiking and like being outdoors and being in the gym. And I mean, I don't gym anywhere near as much as I used to now that
That's
I've got
fine.
my boy.
You're a busy mum.
But I'm out with him. He's busy, he's running, he's climbing all over things. And yeah, my life's just more positive and doesn't involve being up really late. Like I don't really stay up past like 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm a total nana, and I am happy for that, like yeah, my life is so full, and alcohol's not a part of it.
Not a
And
part of it.
yeah, and it's just, but I've got other things that fill my cup.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so
Yeah, that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, cool. What would you want our listeners, especially those that are kind of navigating trauma themselves,
Mhm.
what would you want them to take away from your story today?
Um, your trauma doesn't define you. Like, yeah, you don't have to be a victim forever. You can choose, yeah, you can choose the direction of your life. And yeah, and it doesn't always it doesn't have to be sad, like you can choose um you can choose a full life if you allow that to happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also think, like reaching out, talking to other people that have gone through things, getting counseling if that's what you need, like invest in yourself, because you don't want to like live with that forever.
Mm,
And I'm not going to lie, like, I still deal with bits and pieces. And, you know, he still lives next door to my parents. So
yeah.
I've seen him for years and years and years. And yeah, but I can't let that stop me from living my life,
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I think, yeah, it doesn't, like, don't let that person write your story. Like
Yeah.
you decide what you want to
Yeah.
do. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'd
Yeah,
say.
that's amazing. I think it's really cool and a testament to your relationship with your parents and your
Mm.
sister um, that they just believed you and and that they supported you. And yeah, obviously they still live there. But the fact that they, yeah, protected you from that point on, I think is, testament to your relationship with them, because that's certainly not the case for everybody, is it? Whether they're believed or whether they don't feel that they can talk about it, or, whether they can tell. My parents knew that I was in a physically abusive relationship. I don't think they realized quite to what extent, but they definitely saw me with black eyes. And I didn't really get protected from it. Yeah, which is, for whatever reason, I don't blame them. Yeah, I don't really have an opinion on it, which is a bit weird, but I love my mum and dad, and they were just doing what they felt was right at the time. But yeah, I think if they'd have gone in and tried to pull me out of it, I probably would have. They probably would have got my back up, and it would have ruined our relationship for a while, because I was so adamant that I was in love with him. And when it's good, it's really good, but when it's shit, it's horrendous. But I was really kind of like focused on when it was good. Yeah, I think I would have probably turned my back on them. But at the same time, I also think that maybe it would have been good to have been pulled out of the situation too. But it's a hard one, isn't it? It's yeah.
Oh, I was in a one of my first relationships was a violent relationship, and I don't want to talk too much on it, but because he's just not important, and now I've got the most incredible husband, but but you are so blinded by this person. But yeah, and everyone tells you to get away, and everyone tells you that he's not right for you, but you have to make that decision yourself.
Yeah.
You've got to come to some, and it almost feels like it's got to get to like the real pinnacle of it, and for people to, like, my mum dragged me away from him after I'd had surgery, and yeah, and then it still continued, and it wasn't until I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm so done. Like, you almost need to be like, I'm worthy of more than this. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
But everyone can tell you, but you've got to be ready for it yourself. Yeah. But it's the same as giving up alcohol,
It's exactly
right?
the same. I was just about to say, it's exactly the same as any addiction, anything like giving up booze or drugs. Like, you can tell somebody until you're blue in the face, but until they're ready, they won't do anything about it. So it's exactly the same. Must be some sort of weird addictive personality trait.
And just going back to my parents just for a quick second, like, I now look back and I realize why my mum was so hard on me growing up. I'm not allowed to do this, and I'm not allowed to go there, and no, I'm not allowed to go and play with this friend, and no, I'm not allowed to do this. And it's because the cycle repeated itself. My mum was abused, my nana was abused. Like,
oh wow.
And that's, and so now I've got to be careful about how I parent my son.
Yeah.
To not overstep the boundary, but also to be a fair and considerate parent of his own decisions, so that's a new, you've got to navigate things again. So but it's
and it's interesting when you learn about that, about your parents and your grandparents, and it's like, oh, that's why. Yeah.
But it's, and my mum said, and I don't think she'd be scared for me to say, but she relived that when I went through it.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
Yeah, that's her. Yeah, that's hard. Yeah,
it's
definitely.
hard for her to, like, for me to have thought that she went through it again, because sorry.
It's okay.
I don't want to relive it again.
No.
Like, I don't want that to happen to my child.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm choosing to be better for him. And keep my blinders open to protect him, but I don't want to wrap him in cotton wool.
It's hard. It's a fine line, right? It's so hard.
You've got kids,
Yeah. 3 teenage girls. I just, I've got to protect them, but from afar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you will because you're aware
Yeah.
of it. So it's, it's something that you will just naturally do. So yeah.
I'll try my hardest.
Yeah, no, you're an amazing mum. Danny, it's
Yeah.
been really, really cool
Mm.
to talk to you, and I'm so grateful to you for being so
Mm.
brave and sharing your story.
Mm.
It's been really, really cool. Yeah, thank you.
No, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, I hope that you enjoyed the listeners, that you enjoyed this episode.
Mm.
Obviously, a few deep and dark conversations being had, but yeah, all important. Anything relating to trauma and how you cope with that is obviously always going to be important. So, Danny, thank you so much for the conversation. And yeah, for everybody else, I will talk to you all next week. So, thank you so much. Cheers, Danny.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.